Disclaimer. The information and education material contained herein is meant to promote the general understanding and dialogue of GAN's processing. Such information is not meant or intended to serve as a substitute for a healthcare professional's clinical training, experience, or judgment. For patients and individuals, such information is not to be a substitute for professional medical, therapeutic, or healthcare advice or counseling. For medical issues or concerns, including decisions about medications and other treatments, readers, viewers, listeners should always consult their physician or, in serious cases, seek immediate assistance from emergency personnel. Prescription information, procedures, and use of medical devices information should be undertaken only by properly trained and certified medical personnel. We specifically disclaim any warranties, express or implied, including implied warranties of merchantability or fitness for a particular purpose. Such information is provided, as is, and is believed to be accurate at the time of its publishing, but it is the viewer's job to evaluate the accuracy of any information found in this presentation. Every case presented is of their own experience, applied by themselves for themselves, and it applies to their case only. Every person experiencing health problems should seek professional medical advice and consult their course of treatment with a doctor. The processes of plasma balancing described herein are a natural process which supports the body but does not replace medical advice or therapies one is already subject to.
When we die natural death, we call it, at the end, is everything is prepared for it. All the cells deliver the energy, all the souls of the cells deliver the energy to where it's supposed to go. In a way, when you die natural death, it's just like when you are traveling, traditionally you go from, let's say, England to America. Family comes, each one gives you a gift or something to take with you. You're going there, you're not coming back. To remember us, the soul of the physicality and the strength of the soul of the man, they give all their energy as a gift to the soul to move on. Then you still have the soul, the physical soul of the body, which stays behind. But what we call, at the point of death, the soul of physicality becomes part of the soul of the man. It delivers whatever it carries. Then you have the soul of physical cells, which stay behind the physical body of them. And it's progressive. It's like we know you're going, we give you everything gradually ready to go, and it comes to this point of tipping point. I cannot hold on anymore. You close your eyes, the field goes, and that's what we do in the machines. Your soul strength is bigger than the soul of the physicality. At the point of accident, that cuts off. The soul has not reached the maturity, and the soul of physicality does not deliver everything which it has. If the soul of physicality is much stronger in a field than the soul of the man, the soul of physicality sometimes remains till it gives that energy to the soul. Separation is too fast. And we see this, we call it ghosts. It's the soul of physicality has not completed its transition. And we give reverence, we have it till it just delivers, till they find that it's like become like a twin star. The other one has to match up whatever is to be given. Cannot go anywhere till it's done. And this process is not much you can do. Sometimes we can give from our soul to the soul of physicality to get that bridge, to get that match up with the soul. There are a lot of things we can explain what happens physically. You say you see ghosts, you see shadows, whatever. These are what we call the spirit, the soul of physicality, which has not delivered totality what it was supposed to be delivered to the soul of the man for its elevation, for its move. What I call it wasn't a smooth handover, something is left behind. And the soul, traveler souls, finds his position according to their strength where he should be. And it might have been another 20 years, would have gathered more, it would have been in a different position. There are different ways of life. Solar physicality brings us to a position of the handover, or the physicality moves that other things create that condition of the separation, like accidents. Some of the accidents are predestined by the soul. They have completed. It doesn't mean something is left behind. Otherwise, all of us die in a natural course. There's a very clear separation. We can be accidentally, we can come to an accident, but if the soul is not ready to go, you come out of that accident. But if the accident is there as part of the process of the transition, the soul will do their jobs.
Mm-hmm.
When you target deliberate to take a life, you're responsible for that life. You pay. You have to find a balance with your soul. This is how we see with a lot of soldiers when they come from war zones. It is not the gun and the blood. It's the guilt of what they've done and what they've taken that they have to pay for it, or they have to release for the balance of what they've taken. And that brings a psychological condition. They say we've been to conditions, horrible places, and we've seen things, and then we are psychologically damaged. Ask a question: did you take a life? Were you the cause of a life to be taken? That everybody down the line pays, yes. Then you're responsible for it, you pay for it. You have to balance the books. Is that magnet, as I always say, Rick puts in the middle. Everything has to come to balance.
So the soul of an animal that goes through a conflict that doesn't have the same intellectual understanding that we believe.
It has.
Of course it has. I know it does, yes.
Yeah, I'm going in there to become the top dog, so
Mm-hmm.
I'll do anything. So if I do that, it's not instinct, it's my decision. You understand? It's a very, very simple, we call them animals, but have a look at them. They eat, they have an eating pattern, they know where to sleep, they know how to show affection to another one. So it's not just the animal, just because it suits them, they don't talk. They have everything as we have. They feel sorrow, they feel pain, they feel joy. Yeah?
Yeah.
So it's our imagination to justify that the man is better, is the king of animals, and he can do this and that. But they have to say. You see when a whale dies, what the other whales do. You see when a dog dies, what the other dogs do.
And this is the same, Mr. Keshe, for all our vertical friends?
Everything.
And all souls present?
All souls, even in deeper space, even in the cosmos. It's not the exclusivity of man, because man makes it exclusive. He's something special. The only speciality of the man is he thinks he's a special, that's all. There's not much more to it.
Mm.
We would like to think more. We would like. In the past few days, I had to encounter a lot of emotions, which I never wanted to. But I woke up this morning, I said, why did I have to go through this? What was there for me to learn, and what was I supposed to bring for the others?
Hello and welcome, everyone. Welcome to the 461st Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, December 1st, 2022. This is a broadcast of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute Education Department and part of the public teachings in English. My name is Rick Crammond, and I'll be host once again today in these weekly Knowledge Seekers workshops. And once again, we have the pleasure to have the company of Mr. Mehran Keshe to guide us through today's workshop. Hello, Mr. Keshe. Are you ready to begin?
Yes, good morning, good day to you. As usual, wherever and whenever you listen to this series of Knowledge Seekers of the Keshe Foundation, the Spaceship Institute. As we always say, sharing knowledge and maybe technology, maybe some joys. The Keshe Foundation, on the technological part of it, is advancing quite rapidly. We are developing, our team are understanding more, and gradually we are building a condition to reach the ultimate goal of what we call being able to sustain life in every dimension in a space, Earth being included as part of that space. Earth is not something special in the universe. It's like every other. It has its own dimensions. It has its own limitation, like everything else we have on this planet. To this purpose and to this reason, and for what it is not again, as we heard in the intro, man thinks it's special. Earth is not the special thing in the universe. It's another condition. It's another interaction of the fields which has created a condition of a specific type of life. We call it human life. How we interact with it, how we rejoice it, how we understand it, all comes in our personal understanding of our environment, understanding of the society in our environment, and as individuals, what we see. Always used to say, if you're a man who works from a little kiosk, you only see the world through that little hole. When you have a shop, you see through the door. When you have a warehouse, you see through the big gate when things are. When you work internationally, you see the whole world. And the same goes with the man. We understand according to what we see and how we, as human, interact with that condition. Sometimes we can imagine there's a higher level than that little kiosk to a shop. I mean, let's try to understand the formation of the shop. Now we are doing the same. Man has been in that kiosk of man on this planet. And again, kiosk of our own understanding of what man does in this planet. So now we're trying to open the man's eye to become, according to his intelligence, that shopkeeper, to see a bigger space or a warehouse man, or understand global interaction of what we call the universe. These things brings and needs to be understood. There's no use one person teaching and nobody else understands. Till the time comes, they understand and say, oh, the guy said 100 years ago such a thing. Now you see, he knew something. He understood that at the time. Now we're trying to make man to understand the position of that man in the international arena, the universe. You could be a shopkeeper, you could be a store man in a kiosk, or you could be running a warehouse. I still have the mentality of the man in a kiosk. Just because you're in a bigger hall, bigger gate, does not make that difference. Somehow accidentally you end up there, which suited you to bring that in. In this process, we look at how we understand things and how our team understands and develops accordingly, and how knowledge seekers go through this process. We have two choices. We go back and, as we've done step by step, bring that in or we open up and let people all become to some sort of a balance of knowing what is available, that they all can be where they are, but they stand position of the other. Past weeks of teaching and past weeks of what we call you supporting us in trials and tests and this and the others has brought us to that crucial point. Yesterday, for the first time, we started the transmutation process. As you know, every success comes on step by step. It doesn't come in one jump and that's it. If you get it one jump, you don't understand it, the failure comes in the future. We're trying to understand and we're trying to start a process. Yesterday, with the person who's part of the Keshe Foundation and is the first man to be transmuted, we started the first process of transmutation. And confirmation of the transmutation, it's not easy, especially if you have to transmute across the United States to Austria. We're building step-by-steps of this. We are building in a position of not only us trying to understand, but we try to condition that the passenger understand what is going on. The understanding of no limitation. We bring the soul through the system. We bring the physicality through the system, but then the soul has to move across. In a way, because the person has been to Linz, he knows the environment, he knows the places. I could walk to a place and he was there without him knowing. And I asked him, where have you been? He says, I had such a feeling in such a place. And I said, I just went there to see you. My soul told me I'm there, you'll be there. And this process has started. And we need our people to understand. We need to perfect the art of it. But the beauty of it was, he doesn't end up in a machine. He ends up in the building, where he wants to be, where his soul has the connection. There's one of you, as listeners, most probably, in the background, and he knows exactly what it is. And so, as we said in November, December, we started transmutation. The process started. We have to build a step-by-step to it. We have to bring a position that we can completely feel, understand the position, and then bring the transmutation of the physicality. This will take most probably in January, February, as the systems are getting finished. I was told yesterday 80% are done. And then we go into this process of transmutation. The transmutation of the physicality and the completion of it need what we call cosmic rays. Our team have built the system, are building the system, and we feel the existence of cosmic rays. Once you start touching cosmic rays, you become of a different creature of understanding of the universe. Not you don't get heads and tails, but creature in knowledge, creature in understanding of the truth about the creation. A lot of detachment, but a lot of attachment to the new understanding till you understand it. So, as I said, we have started the transmutation process. And we will gradually, in the next few weeks, test expansion of it, how and what we can do, and then come to the full transmutation. For us, once we establish one, is how we can move the other 7 billion. How we can bring that knowledge across to 7 billion. That no one abuses on it, and everybody has access to the same thing. At the same time, as part of the Keshe Foundation, We are running other tests, which you were part of. And we're still getting people who want still to do the flight test. They want to do the satellites. They want to be mobile tests. All those in a different shape or form are taking shape. And what was going to happen to you, you get in, as I said, in New York, into the system. Seconds later, you're in Linz, and yes, we get you the way you came. In a present situation, you get on the plane in Linz, you come off the plane in New York, you had a cancer here, you have a cancer there. You had a ILS here, you still have ILS there. Nothing changes in your medical position. But with this technology, it does. Because we expand the energy package, which is within the center of you, which has to cross your body, and then make an envelope that our technology can pick up that envelope and transmute you on the present communication lines of what you call mobile phones to a position destination. In the future, there is no mobile phone. We learn it through our, what we call, dimension of the energy inside us. Then, in this position, when the fields crosses, it's like when you put, in a way, materials in the microwave. Nowadays, they put tomatoes through a special rays that they don't rot anymore so fast. We put bodies through MRI, and we see the field shows us where the tumor is, where the damage to the brain is, where you've broken the leg. We put you through CT scan in a massive amount of X-rays taken in layers from your body. We see what is the shape of you inside you. Now, instead of rays coming from outside to take these scans and pictures, now your soul going from inside out to create that envelope. The way you go for radiotherapy, radiation therapy, they see a tumor, they see something, and they target radiation on it. And they say, we destroyed the cell, we irradiated it, and it's done. We do it in the nuclear industry quite a lot. Radiating create conditions of explosion or whatever. So we deliver energy to it, and we change it, and the doctor says, you had the radiation therapy, and the tumor is gone. Or we killed it, and then in time the body will get rid of it. Now the radiation comes from your soul, going out, and the tumor is on the way. The broken leg is on the way. The broken heart is on the way. The emotion of pain is on the way as it radiates out to create that envelope. Now you understand how it works. Today, you go to a hospital to get radiation therapy for your cancer. Now you get the radiation therapy from your own soul. But the emotion which created it is connected to the same center. It's not that you get rid of that tumor. You solve the reason why that tumor created by the same sun, by the same structure which radiates out. Because if there is a fault in the envelope, what you put in it will fall out in transportation. It has to be perfection. It has to be corrected. How many times you receive the post with no letters in it, no items in it? The post says, sorry, it was lost somewhere, the envelope cracked. Or part of it, we do not know. So when the body of the man, when the soul of the man expands to that position, like the radiation therapy, crosses everything. And everything has to be balanced. It brings balance through the energies of it. And it knows what it should be because the master on the head, which created it through emotion, says, there is a disbalance here. I used to hate, now I love. And love was the cornerstone of the creation. So if you create a tumor out of hate, it has no balance to sit. The envelope has to be complete. Many of you came to Linz and we put you through it, and I could not tell you this. You have a problem. I cannot go anywhere. It doesn't work on me. What is wrong inside you through the emotion and the physicality. The beauty of it is we cannot transmute a broken envelope. We cannot send because the fields will unbalance and they move and they create other problems. You only can travel when the soul, the envelope is clean, packed, sealed. Nothing can fall out. Nothing can fall in. It doesn't got a weak point that it can get torn and tear apart in transportation. It's you who makes that envelope, not us. We create a condition that conditions it to expansion of it. Go back to all my teachings. I always said, solar system or the universe can expand only to the size and the fields that this environment allows it to expand into. Because the other fields control it. The other fields sit on top of it because they need their existence. Now in our systems, we control that condition of containment. And once we control it, because it's on the magnetic field, because it's on the line of the field of the physicality, we can shoot you down the mobile line. I cough, you hear. I laugh, you hear. But you cannot see if I frown. You cannot see if I twinkle. In the plasma technology, the twinkle and the frown, everything is there. You go in with the cancer, you come out if the process is completed without the cancer. You go in with mental condition in transmutation, you come without it. And if you have that problem, you cannot travel. If you have a conflict inside you, you cannot create that envelope. I sat, I watched, people came in and went out. I could not do. It didn't happen to me. There's something wrong inside you that does not allow your soul to create that envelope. You have a different understanding. You have come in with a mean thoughts, as I call it. I've come here, I don't believe in it, but I want to show that it doesn't work. You deceived yourself, not the system. The guy before you came in with a pure heart, with understanding what he wants to do. And the one after you, how come you don't fit in? The problem is you, not the system. The problem is your integrity of understanding the totality. So we had to test that when we put somebody with a cancer in New York, lands in Linz, does he have a cancer anymore? Or he wants to keep that cancer because there is a condition that he has to prove to himself psychologically. Or she has a breast cancer that he has to do it psychologically. She hates someone, that hate has to transfer to love, and the cancer will find a solution in the dimension of physicality. You end up in Linz, you still have a tumor, but it's not malignant anymore. We did not vanish the tumor on the way. We exchanged the source, we elevated the source, the elevation of the source. So as part of this, in development of the technology, we are testing that elevation and dimension of interaction of the feeling, emotion, and physicality. To this effect, we have had past years, we've done many things which doctors bring it on the medical, but it's not medical because it's the elevation of the soul. It sits with the psychiatric psychologist part, because to me, as a plasma physicist, understanding the work I trust the psychologist to understand and work with the emotion, with the plasma of the field of the soul of the man, but not with the surgeon. To me, the surgeon is like the guy who does the repair garage. Cut the leg, take a tumor out, do this, do that. But what's the reason of this? Because the engine is not fixed. Psychologists understand this. And you will see Keshe Foundation will walk around the psychologists, not the medical physicians. Because we work with the boss. Let the foot soldier march on. He thinks he defends the border of a nation, but in fact he has no authority because the boss tells him where the border is. So in working with the Keshe Foundation, all the work goes with the fields. And today's government have no authority on this level. We have no rules, no understanding of the work of the soul of the man, except we left it in the hand of most imaginative, incompetent, lying, cheating religions. Those who run in different names. Science and technology of the life in the space is on the structure of the fields of the motions of the plasma. What do you call the soul? The totality. We will go in understanding how we go and how we sit in how we can introduce things directly and how we will understand to expand the knowledge and how to bring you to understand. So we have started what we call the transportation and transmutation. We have started the process of understanding how we can bring different dimensions, different structures, different souls, what you call, into movement. What would it do when we do this? How we interact with souls. You might have Alzheimer's, you might have Parkinson's, you might have every other condition, but this is not our job. We want to see if we can expand your soul, if we can allow you to expand your soul to the limitation of the envelope we give you, and then see how your body reacts to this expansion. You call it healing, you call it curing, that's your problem. What we are interested is in how we expand, how we can control that expansion, and in a transition time from New York to Lens, how your energies will interact with the system, with the dimensions, and with everything else. We want to know how things will go, and we want to know how things sit. And in this process, you call it whatever you like. Healing, processing, curing. That's your problem. We create transition and transmutation of the fields of the body of the man. And we'll find out how we will be done and how we have and we can develop this. what would your body do in this transition? What will happen to you in that point of transition? And what will go on in that point of transition? And how things will turn up in that transition. What would we do? And how people around us will fight it. And how, when we arrive with a new condition, how would they react? We get on board in New York and we see ourselves with a counselor. Our loved ones in Lens, knowing you have a condition and you have to go through the process. They leave you today, they greet you today with what you are, knowing what's in the back. Expecting usually the worst, as man says, for his demise. Now with this technology, you get on board in New York and you land in Lens and you've been correct in every dimension and direction. And the family greets you because they love you, they know you're going to be here for a long time. In the journey, you have balanced all the emotions and the fields of the body. The tumor is there, but it's not going to kill you unless you wish it to be there. This is where the change is coming, and this is where the biggest change for man comes. In a way, man is gradually getting access to eternal life. And this eternal life, this knowledge, this technology cannot stay within the Keshe Foundation. In ways, we have to make it accessible to every being on this planet. And in a way, the technology has to become like the rays of the sun, shines on all in equal amount, in equal way. If you're lying on the grass in the park, the sun doesn't decide you're going to get more if you're black, white, yellow, or orange. Doesn't decide if you're a man, the dog, or the cat. And this knowledge has to be the same. In so many ways, we have to develop it that it becomes the same and become accessible and become part of the accessibility that even those who do not understand what the MRI machine is or an X-ray machine is, when they go through it, they find the problem. And at the same time, when they go through it, they don't know what the chemotherapy is, but what the MRI found out, the chemotherapy tries to solve. In this process, the MRI and the chemotherapy is within you and is part of you, is part of the structure of the motion of the soul of man. And all we do with our technology is to create the framework, and you create the fields. You create that chemical for chemo in the fields of the body of your inside. We create the frame of the MRI. You create the scanning of the emotion, what's wrong, what it needs to be done. by own fields, by our own understanding, like the moon and the earth and the other planet move in a certain position to accommodate each other in certain time, that's become the part of the work. We are the creator of that condition. You are the one who decides what happened inside. For this reason, we need to understand that 99.999% of those who use our technology are ignorant to the science, but them get benefited the same as all of us, being a man, a dog, a cat, and the rest. In time, man will change. In time, the humanity, through progress of understanding, will change to its own dimension and direction. And in time, us, as those who understand part of the knowledge, will come to teach the others to understand the work of their own soul, to understand the work of others. At the moment, everything has become physical, and everything has to be done in hospitals by doctors who read a few books and they become gods. Now the God is within you, which is your soul. And the creator of you, the creator of the existence of physicality of you is within you. You can become the doctor of yourself. We don't do anything. You find the solutions. We don't do anything. Your soul fixes what is wrong inside. This week, I'm sure the ladies on the line or her relative who introduced her to us, she came to our doctors, highly educated, a PhD. She cannot walk. She cannot take steps. She can do a small dragging foot. Talking to her, the doctors even have, I've never heard before, is screwing her big toe to the one next that she can keep her balance or whatever. Literally put a pin between two toes. She had to move house to live in a one-floor apartment because she cannot do anything. She hasn't walked in a way for nearly 2 years, collectively 5 years. She has to go through a pain structure to get up, to stand up, even trying to take the step. Highly educated. Hands cannot bend. Fingers don't touch. It's like putting an orange in between the hand. She's been like this for years. For past 2 years, and gradually she goes into condition that she will not be able to move anything. With the doctors, she's been put through the process for 30 minutes. Then we asked her, can you walk? She stands up, she walks. Can't get her voice clearly. She says, I'm walking. I don't want to stop. I haven't walked for years. I have no pain. And she walks around the table and like dancing. And he said, just calm down. He says, I don't want to. I haven't walked. This is something impossible. In 30 minutes. It's not the 30 minutes. It's that millisecond. The soul decides to perfect the walk. the man to walk. So the psychological and the physical just follows. That 30 minutes is where that 1 millisecond of elevation of the soul will come. We stop. Comes on the next day. The joy, the happiness of being able to walk the day before was overwhelming. Go through the same process again. And she's walking. She doesn't want to sit. We ask her to run. She says, I cannot run. Asking the question. My toes have been pinned together. My ankles have been locked because I was not supposed to walk ever again in my life. What about the hand? The fingers can touch each other for the first time. The emotion, the process wanting to live is so strong. It has rejuvenated itself. Life is there again to live. We asked her, can you go for a run in the next couple of weeks? I can't run. My toes are pinned. My ankle is locked. But now they have to take it off. We created the envelope. The scanning, the evolution is done by the soul, by the energy within inside a man, not by us. We are literally a DHL office. We are a post office. We know where to develop the envelope and how we cannot carry a letter. You have to put it in an envelope that we can carry. You have to box it. We create a box. We are provider of that box. We are not the curer. We are not the doctors. We are not anything. We are just a courier office, which needs everything to be an envelope. You cannot bring a bunch of oranges on the table and says, can you take this to New York? Sorry, you have to put it in an envelope. Then we can carry the oranges. And then whatever is there, the taste, the joy, the sweetness of the orange is for you to taste when you receive it or who receives it from you. The work with this delivery company called Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute is to deliver the soul of the man anywhere in the universe. It's you who does the delivery. It's you who decides where the envelope goes. We have delivery office in every corner of the universe, in every stone and in every heart. We were talking with the doctors, with the mother, with the child, with autism. Child, 4 years, mentally 1.5. We saw her crying last night in facing the reality that she's having a 4-year-old boy as a 4-year-old boy soon in her hand. 3 times through the system in past 2 weeks. For the first time, he decides to go to the toilet on his own before we know what happens to young children. For the first time, he can continuously hug parents, his mom and dad, which wasn't there. For the first time, he can sing songs with a TV program. For the first time, when we heard it yesterday, when a mother comes and is watching TV on father's handset, he says, "Hi, Mom, how are you?" And for the first time, the family is a family. They don't need to carry a handicapped child for decades to come. The whole process is that 30 minutes. What we do not know which second the soul decides to put the letter in the envelope and elevate that soul and elevate that physicality. In the past 2 weeks, for the first times, we share what I shared privately for years with people who walked away, and I could not tell them I expanded your soul, and we got accused of medical interference, which we did not did. We elevated the soul. Now that those who never understood find elevation in their soul. Now, for the first time, there are translators and us and doctors who control this process. We're all hear how changes are coming, how effectively we are changing life. We hear from the people who could not sleep, and now they sleep solid because the ghost of their own life has found solution within self. The pains in the stomach are not there, or many other things which has been going on with the elevation of the soul. For this reason, Keshe Foundation has decided, and we open a mass, what we call meeting, a plasma conference, a plasma event that we will carry on with this every month. What we want to do, we don't want to keep, unless you want to be especially sorted and done, which you cannot do it in this process of the events. We take you up, we increase your numbers to take more on and to allow things to happen. But we want to give you the taste of it. Many of people say, how do I know it works? So we have opened this introductory, what we call sessions. You're an addict. You have a cancer. You have Alzheimer's. You suffer from diseases that there is no answer in the world of the medicine of the man today. You have a joint pain. You have pains which has been with you as fibromyalgia or whatever. Keshe Foundation is opening for the first time a session where we want to reach all of you at the same time. Your son is alcoholic, your daughter is a drug addict, your father has got a prostate cancer, you suffer from fibromyalgia and everything else, and the husband is alcoholic beyond. You just got condition that you cannot do, and they told you is psychosomatic, they told you is genetic, or is immune system problem. The love of God shines on all equal. You don't know in the park lying down, the guy next door to you has a cancer, or is a schizophrenic, or he's got a fibromyalgia. But the sun shines exactly on you who have a brain tumor, and he doesn't. For this reason, we open a channel. And we're going to repeat this every month. For people who have doubts, or people who think they might be able to reach to understand, maybe they see the change to understand the technology. And the understanding of feeling it, then they can decide. They want to go through the full process. Or they decide, I wait till next month. Maybe I'll find another. We specifically gapped it for 4 weeks that you get a chance to analyze, and don't call it accidentally. I could do this last week, but this week I can do. I had a headache about, oh, it cannot be because I went to that session. So you can still live in the line of denial, but go back on working on what you receive. We have opened a Christmas gift to humanity. On Friday the 16th, Keshe Foundation opens a 4-hour session that between 500 to 1,000 people can join in. Come in with your desires. Come in to see your grandfather. Come in to travel to the moon. Come in to get rid of the cancer. Come in to get rid of the drug addiction. We don't ask. We raise the sun on all of you. We bring the technology. It's you that you might get a sunburn, or you feel still shivering in the same sun. Go on the Keshe Foundation website, join in, because we'll follow you up in the following weeks what changes has brought you. Come in hungry and ask for food. See if that day, that week, you still eat the same as before you go through the system. Come in with a bag of chocolates and see if you can gift it to somebody, to your friend. You are in New York and he's in Liz. I send you a chocolate. Did you feel a taste of it? This is part of the mass introduction of the technology worldwide. This is the first step that we open this irrespective of. We monitor everything from Linz. It's you who has to tell us you came in an addict and your desire reduced. It's you who come and say, I came, I couldn't walk. Now I can walk. On the Monday the 19th, we open specific channels for those who want to transmute their souls and walk away or find a way from their addiction. Session is for 1 hour. The next hour, we open a session for those who want to go to the moon. For the next session, we open for those of you who suffer from Parkinson. For another session, we open a session for those of you who have a cancer. It's a symposium of all of you. We don't do anything. You just go in your home, attend the conference, attend the meeting, attend the seminar in your own soul. We provide that packaging from the transportation company. Sign it and get involved to bring the change. Each session, we can handle 500 people. If it's 20 of you, it still goes on. If it's 5,000 of you, we have to change the numbers. You suffered, You came to us, we said we don't have the knowledge. You can test it to see if the knowledge works for you. Maybe you get that 30 seconds of elevation, 1 millisecond of elevation, that it changes you. But be honest and report it back. The next step after this will be mobile transportation, where in the same kind of sessions, we move so many of you from one position to another. I promise you, I open the technology to mankind. And this is the best mankind can do for the time being, till what is done, understood, and system multiplications is started. In a way, if you look at it, the system invents is a connection to the creator that shines equal amongst all of you. I don't need to open 1 million centers. One system suffices to satisfy the need of the man across this planet. It's you who has to find a way to link to that energy and find your way out of that energy with what you want. We have a guy who came, says, you can't cure my sister, I want everything back. Put your sister on, see if she wants to live. Or is it just you pushing it? Bring your child with drug addiction, put them for 30 minutes with their own soul. See if the addiction is a cause of the body or escape from an abusive mother. The truth will come to him and he'll understand. On 16th of December, we give you a Christmas gift, a Christmas party by Keshe Foundation for your soul. You are the Santa. It's you who comes on the chimney of the plasma of your own soul. What gift do you want to give to your physicality or to your emotion, or from your physicality to your soul for elevation, when it finds peace with itself? On Monday, we open the channel for those of you who want to come in and get rid of your problems with your own addiction. We just create the conference room. Those of you who want to go to the moon, Mars, or you want to go and see how the weather is in California, you're welcome. And everything else, we allocate times every day. Maybe every day at 9 o'clock, we have a breakfast time salute. And 10 o'clock at night, dinner is served through your soul. You got to understand, what we do is possible and has not been possible to do with humans, purely through the technological development of the science in communication. We allow one session in the coming days for the recall of the world leaders. They want or they don't want, we drag them in with their own soul. We have the technology. On Friday the 16th, evolution in the science of man will take place if the man understands it. And in so many ways, once we move. Once the first step's taken, the rest will happen. All you need for your video is your headset and your mobile phone. As I said to other knowledge seekers, do not come with your laptops and your computers. They create a massive interference. You might end up in Zimbabwe where you wanted to be in Linz. Make sure nothing runs in the background on your handset. And make sure you're there till your soul tells you, let's leave. I had enough. I took what I want. And then join us on December the 20th on Friday. Sorry, January the 20th on Friday for the second session. We repeat these sessions once a month, sorry. And we extend it to numbers that we can handle. Keshe Foundation says, they can't help me. Now Keshe Foundation says, you make the facility, you see if you can help yourself. Many of you asked us, can you help us with our addiction, with drugs and everything else? Monday at 10 o'clock on the 19th of December is your allocation to meet your own soul. We open the room. You're not doing anything else. It's for you to meet your soul. 11 o'clock, we take you to the moon. The passage is open. Or anywhere in the universe you want. And that day. We are not doing anything else but opening a transmutation, DHL organization. There is no one on this planet which creates and delivers transmutation. We have the technology, we do. You have an envelope to post with the love letter in it, post office and DHL. You have there your energy, the field and the soul to elevate and help yourself to deliver an envelope to yourself, to change yourself from the old pains. Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute, Transportation Service, Radio Service. Anything has been your dream, join in on the 19th. Anything has been your wish. But tell us. You'll be allocated a Zoom number connected to your number. Do not give it to anybody else because it's not going to go anywhere else. Only those who are invited by registration in each section will be allowed in. 2 reasons. We can't let everybody in. Secondly, we want to give a tap on what development has been. How many of your addicts have managed to expand your soul truly, not to touch, to enrich your emotion that alcoholism, sex, drugs, and everything else you can get addicted to is not needed to be satisfied. As the soul of the man have found balance in emotion. And gradually, as I said, we open this step by step to as many people as possible that the what I call pharmaceutical of the soul of the man takes over pharmaceutical of the physicality of the man. It does not matter if you are Chinese or you live in Tehran or in the jungles of Amazon or in the back villages of Africa or in the White House. You all suffer from diseases and you all have the same problem. Join us to understand and join us to bring that change. And then see what you do to yourself. There'll be no teas and coffees in these conferences, but plenty of fields and cosmic rays and emotion of the matter. For years you asked me, why is that? Why is it exclusive? Why cannot be done? Now you've got the answer of the why. The why is you, not us. We open the hall. Do you want to come have a wedding in it? You want to come in and get drunk with the field of the universe? You come in to use it as an operating room to get rid of your cancer. It's all yours. We just provide the four walls and the field. They promised the change will come in 2022. The change has come in 2022. You come into the room, go to Vatican and bring the Pope in and say, I have to take you somewhere that you see how much you lie. You come as Iranians, you don't go through the revolution and street fights, but you go to the soul of Ayatollah Khamenei, Iran, and bring you in and you change it. So simple. If you wish, the dimension of acceptance of the wish is there to be done. I gave you the biggest gift. Now let's see how you use that gift and how in the coming months we expand it. And gradually, maybe in a year, 2 years' time, these lines are open 24 hours a day for everyone to use. I'm hungry. Can I borrow your mobile phone? Mine is broken, that I can feed myself to the Keshe Foundation Center. I have a pain in my head. I don't want aspirin, but can I use your mobile phone to get there? Did I find out what I will cause myself with it? And now you understand how the change has come. The Spaceship Institute has brought the universal spaceship for you to enjoy. We create a ship, and the planet Earth and the citizens are its passengers. Let's play the game and see what you're going to change. You are the pioneers, and this pioneering will bring a new change. Let's the game start and see how we change. Book yourself into these sessions. Those of you who for a long time seeing any solution for addicts and drugs and alcoholics, book yourself on the Monday the 19th. Join us on the 16th to develop, to understand the limitation of our systems, how much more we can add to increase the power. And how many of you will end up in the places you don't want to be by mistake, because you have to still to learn your GPS of the soul is not fixed properly. You end up in Zimbabwe instead of in Minsk. Go back to New York and reset the GPS of your soul. The true wish. But in fact, if you're in Zimbabwe, that's where your soul really wanted to. You haven't ended up by mistake. You have to find out why your physicality ends up. Maybe it's going home. That's where your ancestors came from. And you always said, I wanted to know where my home is, where I come from. In the next few weeks and months, the process of the change will come in. And as our team develop more and more advanced systems, more and more of you will come to enjoy. We are looking in the Keshe Foundation side of the technology development, our doctors for especially the success with autism, especially with success with those who have a mental condition. And join us to bring that change. But share with us that we know what changes is brought in, that we can adjust our systems. You came one by one to teach us how to adjust the system for flight. Now on Friday, we allow 500 people with all kinds of desires and wishes. And on Monday the 19th, we bring you to the condition step by step, case by case. Because if you're an addict, it's a specific position in your soul and the physicality which has created that craving. And we set our systems for that. And let's see how we change, how we bring the change, and how the changes will come to be. We go for a break. When we come back, we'll explain more and we answer your questions. Rick, will you take us through a break and come back?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Keshe. Okay, we'll take a short break here and be back in a few minutes. This is the 461st Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, December 1st, 2022.
The new Horizontal Enhancement Spaceship Unit, a space technology that allows you to work with the fields of the universe. Creating a wide range of plasma field interactions and conditions, it allows the body to process itself from any physical or emotional imbalance. Once this balanced condition is achieved, the soul and emotion of the man can follow to find their balance, elevating the whole of the man. The new Horizontal Enhancement Spaceship Unit. Technology of the future through advanced plasma knowledge.
Okay, we're back again at the 461st Knowledge Seekers Workshop. And I think Mr. Keshe should be ready to take some questions now. Is that true, Mr. Keshe, or do you have something else you'd like to discuss first?
No, there's nothing unless it comes up and then we discuss.
Okay, well, we have a couple of questions in the Q&A, and I remind our attendees here that they can raise their virtual hands and we can open your microphone so that you can speak. Okay. Q&A from Steph, who asks, how does it look like for another person when you make a transformation and you arrive next to this person who doesn't know about the technology? Puff, you arrive and stay there. And what does it look like for the other persons? Like in Star Trek, you first dissolve point by point, and when you arrive point by point?
It happens in different shape or form. There is a part of new understanding that you have to understand. I mean, there is no choice. Sooner or later, it'll be understood. It's like, if you remember in 1980s, we had these huge boxes, we called them telephone, and people were carrying a suitcase with the actual handset phone, landline on their hand. And they were telling you that what they call talking to somebody somewhere else. And goes, oh, look at this guy talking to himself. Now we carry these little things in our ear, and you walk on the streets, this bunch of crazy people talking to themselves. But actually, when you look, they've got a little headphone in their ears, and there's nothing else. And then they say, oh, I'm crazy, I didn't understand. They got the advanced technology in their pocket. They'll be the same. You arrive. First of all, in New York, you have to decide. You call your brother in the mountains of Switzerland. Is it sunny? Is it snowing? And you're in the sunny New York and it's snowing on top of the mountain in Switzerland. You're trying to see him. Would you wear ski jackets and God knows what in the heat of New York, wait for the transportation? Or you have your brother getting your clothing ready, waiting for you when you arrive with the snowsuit, because you landed with more or less a bikini from New York. Or do you understand that at a point of arrival, you will arrive in the dimension of the soul? Would you manifest yourself in the middle of the football pitch with 30,000 people watching, naked? Or would you choose a room where the suitcase you carry carries the winter clothing for mountains of Switzerland? Would you appear next to, and the way he says, oh, I just felt I wanted to call you, and say, oh, I just felt I wanted to call you, and you called. You arrive, you inform the soul, I'm here, and maybe play a few tricks. And as we get used to it, oh, you arrived. So what do? Do I go in my bikini or shall I go and change? These are the things man has to learn. And that limitation of clothing belongs to Earth. On Mars, and on the moon, and on other positions in the universe, you arrive the way your body feels protected. In a way, as I said to a child of mine, you arrive with the leaves on your front and your back. The soul of the man will create that condition of what I call protection, and man gradually learns. The most important thing is that you make a call to the soul. You don't manifest to physicality in that way if you want. I had Mario telling me, asking me, one of knowledge seekers asked question, can two lesbian couple both get pregnant in the system? Yes, why not? Come on board, we try. Would the children be yours? Of course. You each implant the soul within the womb of the physicality of them. Souls don't have X chromosomes and Y chromosomes. It is the child who decides. Maybe to one mother it'll be a boy, and to the other one, to the girl, I'll be a girl. There's a lot of games still to be unraveled with this knowledge and these possibilities and education. We are not creating a bunch of he, she's, and she, his, but it's the possibilities of the elevation and salvation that both parents feel good with, and the society accepts. You don't appear, as you said, being a biscotti in shining beds. You appear in your soul. That's how you travel. And then you decide. And the manifestations are instantaneous. The reason they used to make those movies was because the scientists who made it were presumed that they move every single cell of the body of the man one by one. In the knowledge of understanding the world of creation, you travel with the field of the energy. Any other question?
Okay, a question from Pamela from the Brazilian community. In the last Knowledge Seekers workshop, you explained about the creation of emotions, but this is not yet clear. From what I understood, the creation of an emotion happens when the blood or the soul of physicality carries its fields to the soul of man, and the soul feels it. And then the two interact and create a kind of plasma in the brain tissue, and this area becomes an emotion. You asked us to try and create that field strength with the soul and then feel the emotion. How can we do that? Is that what really good actors do, is create an emotion through the soul? Please help us understand more.
The creation of emotion does not come necessarily by the blood which reaches the skull. The creation of emotion comes by the dimension of the energy motion of that point and position. We carry maybe 5 to 10% of our feeling through our nervous system. 90% plus of our emotion is carried through the fields of our cells. That 5-10% which carry physical is because of the creation of the cell by the movement of the blood and current position through the neural system that dictates that cell to be created, and then it connects it physically to the body or to the, what we call through blood, to its emotion. 90% of our emotion are instantaneous, and if you look at it, if you understand it physically, when your lover touches you, and you feel the touch, the emotion, the softness, the what I call intriguing, complex information is instantaneous. Your body doesn't wait for the blood from the arm to go to the heart, to go to the, what you call it, the process of 4 chambers, and then go to your brain, and then it says, 30 seconds later or a minute later, oh, the blood arrived, now it interacts with my soul, and then I feel the emotion. First of all, you have to understand this. It's the same as what we said, 80% of the energy comes from outside, and we 20% of it. Now man has to understand that 95% of our emotion created is instantaneous. This is what we call as part of the spirit that the man has no awareness of, is never considered. That physical touch that you feel goes through the neural system, few seconds, few milliseconds, is physical touch in a dimension of magnetic fields. But that instantaneous emotion of love, the touch, that goes through what we call the true soul of the man. In the dimension of the fields, instantaneously carried. The only thing that you can instantaneously carry in a what we call lifetime is fields. The way you touch and give you the feeling of the love by the one who touches you, that fast, that instant, it's the same way as you can travel. Same as you can transmute. Instantaneous. That's why when you came to the machine, we told you, you don't travel, can you go somewhere? We don't tell you to fly to somewhere. Do you want to fly to the moon? No, go to the moon. Because decision is instantaneous. Now you have to learn the way you used to get your arms and legs was out to move my leg up to kick a ball. Now you have to learn how I can extend my soul. What about when your lover touches you and you get that feeling, and the instantaneous touches your soul? The soul sends the message and goes back to the same channel, the same touch to the soul of the lover. Love you too. Is not one way. Try it. And this is what I said, like the people who come to the system. No, nothing happened. I came here, nothing happened. Nothing goes on. Your system doesn't work. Sir, you're so wrong. You don't even know whether your soul is, let alone trying to have it. You have been so much misplaced by emotion of your own existence that you don't even know you have a soul. Then at all, you want to control it and expand it. In the future, we can't put a system in every household, every supermarket, and every mountain and hill, and by every line you want to see. It's you who has to learn how to create an envelope and what the limitations of it are, what you want to connect it with. It's like education. We went to school. At a young age, we had no knowledge. We learned the alphabet, and then we learned the sentences, and then became doctors and professors. But this time, instead of 20, 30 years to become a professor, you have a few very short time to become the professor of the portion of your own soul. Then you don't need our system. Our systems are there in a way like a driving license to show you what a car is and that you can drive a car. It's you who has to provide a car in the future once the teaching is finished to test drive and then go from A to B with your own car. Not your car is your soul. How can you in the future extend and expand your soul with all your children in it? Boys, we are going to the sea. Come with me. Then it comes a point of the trust. The children trust you take them to the sea and not to the zoo. Because last time you said to go to the sea, we ended up in the zoo. Then it comes, do I trust my soul to give you? These are the process of the creation. This is what now we have to learn, the alphabet of the soul, the work of the soul. We don't know when we are born if you are left-handed or right-handed. They teach us how to put a pen in your eye. They teach us how to hold a spoon. They teach us how to paint. They teach us everything in our body, our hand learns. The art of living. Now man has to learn the art of plasma living, the soul. And then it's easy. Oops, I want to feel warm water up to my hip. I want to feel the sunshine on my body, and I want no suntan on my face, because in Korea, face has to be, the skin has to be white. Otherwise, it has no value for that. Can I feel warm on the skin as I'm in the God knows seaside, but nothing on the skin, that my skin stays back and I can still find a husband in Korea. Now the man has that opportunity. He decides the boundary of the soul. What that boundary is. And you got to learn the ABC. That's why we said complete system. Understand it. Then when you go home, tonight I want to dream about my dad. I want to go and see my dad. You don't want to dream. Now you have learned to open a passage that the strength of the Father. He might not be home, but if he's home, it'll be fine. One of the Universal Council members started it, but she got lost in it. You could decide what you're going to dream. I'm going to decide I'm going to see this tonight, and it'll be the soul and find a solution by morning when I'm physically up. You have to teach yourself, and then you decide how to manifest and how to be and where to be, and how to control the boundaries. You don't suddenly extend the soul 100 meters away from your physicality. You just stay a few centimeters away from it, but you keep the aura of the physicality and the soul together. One of the things which many of you will learn very quickly, what we call the soul of physicality, spirit, what we call in dimension of interaction partially is the aura of the body of the man. You will very soon learn in which level of it you want to protect yourself and extend the envelope. You will use the soul of physicality in interaction with the environment as the restriction or the boundary of your expansion of your soul. And then you switch when the soul will bring in the aura, what we call the spirit inside, and now it takes control, and then we trust in the reverse movements. It's the same sheep's skin. You want to be inside it or outside, you just reverse. It's always said as an understanding of when you wear a sheep's skin, the sheep was wearing it the other way. You wear it upside, inside out or outside in. But in fact, it's the same skin and the same water, the same way. It's just need learning, and these systems we develop this especially for that process. These sessions of what we start is part of this process for you to learn the extent and how you can play with yourself. In a way, we let you free in the kindergarten garden to play with the toys and find out your own limitation. Any other questions?
Okay, we have a couple of questions about the fees on the on this new flight plan. Doug is asking, is the fee only per person, or can a life partner be included in the fee? Per person. Yeah.
It is per person, and we control it. Please do not share your system. And don't come back to us and try to tell us something happened. Each person is there. You got to put it this way. You will run into position of the schizophrenic, if I call the beautiful people. Then you have to sort it. This is very, you have to teach your soul to work on its own independently. It is not that I put a speaker and everybody sits in it. You'll find out you made a huge, huge, huge mistake. Our systems are not geared up for that kind of operation at the moment. To do that, we need to, the next generation, which they come with the cosmic rays, gives us that kind of facilities. Stay with it individually, teach your soul, and then as we go further, we teach more, and then we'll see what's next.
Okay. Doug made a comment before you started talking about his question. He made a further comment. This question must come from the Scottish part of me. I can understand that, yeah. Being part Scottish.
It's get a bottle we all share in a way.
We have a question from Pamela from Brazil again. Mr. Keshe, I'm sure that all the knowledge seekers are very happy and thrilled with the news you brought us today about the December 16th event. I would like to know if for Brazilians, there would be the possibility to make the payment directly to the company here in Brazil. This would make it easier for many knowledge seekers. Thank you very much.
Yes, in Iran, you make the payment to the Iranian office. In Brazil, you make the payment to Brazil office. But we have to allow it. If you paid, we have to know. In China, you make payment to the Chinese office. This is the beauty of flexibility we have created across the Keshe Foundation. But at the end, all have to end up within the structure of the Keshe Foundation International. And what we see what we can do. And everything else has to come to the Keshe Foundation head office in, what do you call it, in Holland. But we have to agree how many people we put in China. We have 500 places available for that day. And all the emails have to link with the, what do you call it, the information you receive. You have to log in to the Zoom to join us. We will change this very soon to Telegram. We'll go into operation because it gives us more facilities. A lot of the work of the Keshe Foundation will move from Zoom to Telegram because Telegram offers a much more flexible condition. You just can't pay 100 people into Brazil accounts and block a fifth of the things. We have people around the world. So it has to be agreed, or we allow a second session to be added to it in the following day or in the following week. But come in with all your wishes, and come in with selection of wishes, not just one. Come in to get rid of to understand if you can help your addiction. Come in to go and see your uncle in New York. Come in to see if you feel hungry and you can feed yourself with a banana. And come in to see how the condition is on the moon. And don't stay more than 1 hour, move out. Don't try because I want to be there 4 hours, because this allows the others to log in from different part of the world and allows us to control a lot of things inside, which I like to see what the things happen, what pressure it puts on our system. Would we see many of you in a soul in the light in lens, because you have to travel through us. Doesn't matter wherever you do, whatever you do, your link of connections through lens. So we should see structure within our system of how you lot are interacting. Make an arrangement with another knowledge seeker that I come to you. You're in Brazil, he's in Linz, whatever, or he's in London. You still come through central position in Linz and see if it happens. How does he feel? Do you feel each other? This is a test for, instead of doing what we are doing step by step, is a test for everything. If you saw your improvement in your Alzheimer's, or in your whatever, Parkinson, you could walk a little bit better, or something happened, you felt warmth or whatever, then get in touch with Keshe Foundation and work on me. Then we can make an arrangement for you to go through what we call the process with the foundation. You cannot do it in these sessions, because everything information, the next step changes to the next step. When the brain sorts out the nerve in the finger, now it has to go through the system to sort out the same nerve and the same connection to the top. This is for you to get a taste of what is to come and what are the capability of the new technology. We told you we bring you the satellite, we told you we bring you the mobile. This is part of that structure to make sure everything is perfect when we do it. We spoke with the doctors and the teams around the world. Some of the, what they call it, charges which we need to meet has been changed to a standard around the world that there is no difference, but everybody can afford it. Or we can bring what we call package to it. That can be done. And the reason we do on the 19th, the test, is that if we have, for example, we were talking to a couple of people from a group in Tehran yesterday in a Persian teaching, that there's about 300 of them Parkinson in that group. And with the tests we've done in past years and what we've done with the test yesterday and last 2 weeks, and plus all of you coming here, we have offered to take the whole group of 300 Parkinson patients in Iran as a package. And for them to see, to receive everything from Lens and see the effect on 300 Parkinson people. If you're part of a group with Alzheimer's or whatever, if your group understands the work of the foundation, we can do it. We take a package of you, 50 of you. And if the 50 are successful, the rest can join in later on. If you're drug addicts and you know that the 20, 30, 50 drug addicts come together as a group of us, we give you a package. And we monitor that all of you get a change to understand of the totality. The technology has advanced that much that we can do it. because we pre-tested this, if you remember, in 100 children in the orphanage. And now it's time to do. If you are a Parkinson patient and you know another 20 Parkinson people, come to us. We charge the fields in a direction, and we set our systems that we get all of you reached at the same time. So in one session, we can do 20 Parkinson people support than one person. You know, many people that do the same. The only people we don't touch is what you call beautiful people with schizophrenic, which are totally different things. They're human on their own. They're not sick. And now we have that facility, and we can do that. We can put a session for all the Chinese with Parkinson, and do make all the arrangement with the payments with China. In Tehran, if we get some sort of, remember, number of these people in this group, then they'll give us a very good indication. And I was talking to doctors, their fees drops quite drastically. That more people can afford to be part of it. I told you the technology is rapidly developing. Hopefully, I was told a couple of days ago, the new systems are 80% done. If you get them before Christmas, then that will bring a new ball game into it. But we have to understand all the time in terms of it, fix it, all the changes, and then yes, we know. When you come in on the 16th, come with a wish list. Because some of your wishes might not have the strength of the system, or too many people are locked into it. Go to the next one and take your time. I'm at it. I've done so much damage to my parents or my family. I wonder to see if I change this, but can I reach them to tell them I'm sorry? This is not what I wanted to do. Would they feel my emotion? Would the emotion change towards me? And this is a reality that is upon us. And then we do another session in January or February to complete the systems, and then we go for transmutation direct. In a way, if you look at it, from 15th we start the blueprint of soul. Many emotions. And then let us know how many wishes were ticked and why not ticked, and what was the problem, and what is the good thing, what changes you've seen within 3-4 weeks. Then you come up for December, January, and February. Or you come in that you want. Now you've seen the benefit instead of waiting 4 or 5 years. I want to be part of the Parkinson to be sorted immediately or whatever. And we don't put any restriction. Come with all the strange diseases you have and tell us what happened. Any other questions?
Yes, we have a couple of hands up here with Brett and Valerie. Brett, if you would like to go ahead first.
Mr. Keshe, I'm worried about something that I see in the future. And
What?
I'm
You're
worried
worried
about something that I see in the future.
Yeah.
So there's a weighing of understanding, and I think that you know what I'm talking about.
I
In
don't
a
know what
way.
you're talking about. You gotta explain
No?
what you mean. Nope.
No? Okay.
No.
Right. So in the future, there are colonies on Mars that are attacked by the people on Earth, and it's driven by still the ideology of the church. So
That's something new. I didn't know people on moon have faith and religion. That's something new. Why are you talking about Earthlings who live on the moon?
yeah, it's very difficult to deal with, because I can see
Something
how
which doesn't exist cannot be dealt with.
Yeah, righto. But okay, I just put the point that there's going to be a problem, and what I'm trying to do is to sort out the problem before it happens. So I have
you become a CIA, huh? You create the problem to solve it, and you solve it. Oh yeah, you Australians are better than the Americans. That's why you choose such a funny prime ministers, huh?
I know that it sounds preposterous, but really, when you talk about what happens to us when I'm not even going to go into it. It's just too hard. It's like
it just depends on the extension of your imagination, doesn't it?
I saw the life of my daughter's child, which is in the womb, right? So I know what she will become, and I know it's very hard to explain, and you know that it's hard to explain.
Actually, it's so easy, because once you explain it, it's explained itself. It can't be that hard.
Yeah, well, okay, so there's going to be people living on Mars that are going to be attacked, and it's going to be because of the church. So I have to
put it this way: the way we are going, there won't be any church. So how could they attack? Look at it logically.
Yeah,
church exists as long as we accept that they're the guardians of the soul of the Creator. So when we know the Creator is within you, what do you need the church? Do you understand?
Yeah,
cannot exist. It's like they have a rule in Iran which is actually laughable. It's in the Constitution of the Islamic Republic of Iran. You do crime against God, and the mullahs decide who the God is, and there is them, and they're the guardian of the God, and you can be executed for it. You understand? Now even God has got a guardian in the Harmony of Iran, and he can decide as representative of God, you've got to be executed. So when people become knowledgeable and they laugh at this ridiculous creation of one man deciding to be, then we find out there is no religion. So how can they attack the Mars?
I don't know.
You understand? I know, so leave it in our hands. We know how to deal with this.
To destroy it as fast as I can.
We deal with these what they call idiots. That's our problem. We got to find a way for man to understand the only intermediary between him and his Creator is himself. This is why there is always a problem when I say I'm the Messiah. And I go, oh, I call you the Messiah, blah, blah. I'm the Messiah of my own soul, my physicality. I'm in charge of it. Now I know what it's got to do. And it's the same, what do you call it, with all of us. When we leave our life in the hand of a bunch of idiots, they do whatever they like with it. But when you take control of it, then it takes different shape and pattern. We gradually have to understand that there is no one above us, which is the soul of us. There's no king. There is no hierarchy. Even the God doesn't come here and says, I'm the God, you have to do what I listen. How the heck do these leaders think they do? How can you do crime against God and I decide? And I kill you for it because now I have become God. We allow this abuse because they pushed us to abuse, to accept the abuse.
It doesn't make sense.
Oh, it does make sense because we allow them to do it. Yesterday, somebody sent me a link. I get a lot of links from Hannah in what do you call it, in Egypt. She's a bank of information for all the knowledge around the world. She bombards us with everything every day. Blah, blah. She's our college CNN of the Keshe Foundation. And sometimes we get things and just with a link you look at it and then you may read the article with it. And how many priests this week or last week convicted of child abuse in the church? Just ask yourself one thing. If you are really believing in church, and I ask you one question. Does God rape his own children? Nothing else. Does God, who's the creator of us, comes and rapes his own children? This including man and the rest of the citizens of the universe. How these people in the name of God rape children. So now you can add, there is nothing called faith and religion. Unless you want to abuse. And then you make everybody else to believe it's the right thing to do. Because it's part of your life. It's part of how you've been brought up. And everybody else gets accused when they stand in front of you. And you gang up and you do it. In God's name, how can you execute someone as a protector of the name of God? And then how can you name of God as a priest rape children? There is no religion when it comes and when you look at it, except you're allowed to have. We built these churches. We built this mosque. We built this, what I call monsters.
Not me.
Your father, did he pay a cent in the church? You know what's the strangest thing? If you know, I've said that many times before, when you live on the coastline of Italy, in the smallest villages, you see 2 or 3 churches. Small villages. We lived on the south coast. And every village has 1 or 2 churches. 200 or 300 people, 2 churches, 3 churches. What the heck for? They fear they put you go into the sea, they're all fishermen. They pay how a third of their taking money goes to the church because the priest said, in the fear of coming alive, while he's away, the wife is playing outside. She pay a third as a pittance to the church, to the priest. Most probably, the priest is one of them. And then the guy comes and pay a third of it out of his own pocket to the church. So he works for 1/3 job, 2/3 church tax. That's why there are so many churches. Our forefathers encourage out of fear to do this. When a soldier has to rape a girl of 10, 12 years old before put a bullet in her head because you cannot execute a virgin, now you can understand religion don't exist. And this is a rule in Iran today. They get people as demonstrating, they rape them and then they shoot. In whose God's name? And what name and what religion? And how many of them has been done by Ayatollahs themselves because the girl was too beautiful to miss? So religion doesn't exist. Don't ever worry about church attacking the moon. Does not exist because there's no one. If anybody goes to the moon, realizes churches are nothing but jokes, and the mosques and the rest of it. You believe in a prophet, in the message, yes. The rest of it is man-made for abuse of them. Any other question?
Okay, thank you. Valerie, would you like to go next, please?
Yes, thank you. Mr. Keshe, you talked about the willingness of the patient, of the person who has addiction or sickness, to be cured of his situation. And as a psychotherapy practitioner, I met people that they are not aware of their will to hold on to their own disease, because they gain whatever it is in their own soul structure. So they are not aware of their holding to the disease. So how it can work with the technology that you talk about?
It's, you see, you look at it from outside in, we look at it from inside out. The lady we talked about who could walk, in the first 10 minutes, 5 minutes more or less of listening them talking to the doctors, it was obvious the condition was self-inflicted from inside. With a couple of questions asked, it came on the table, why? And then they realize it's self-inflicted. You understand? We have to, as doctors, you look from inside, outside in, why they behave like this, psychologists, why did they do this? But if you go inside and see what emotion was created, and so let the soul balance that emotion, your patient walks away with no condition. This is what you don't have. This is what you don't have as a present doctors. If you put the systems we have in your surgeries as psychologists, you will become God. You'll have a queue worse than the McDonald's queue in Moscow. Thousands of people queuing up to go in. And this is the beauty with this technology. Now we allow the process to understand, to come from inside to outside, and then physicality works. There is something I was explaining to one of our doctors yesterday or this week. You're a doctor. You've seen people who are crippled in bed for years. Even if you help them, you need to give them physiotherapy for months with their leg which hasn't moved, you know, when you lock it, cannot move. But how come people which go through this process walk instantly without any physiotherapy? What happens? Yesterday, the lady was telling me, it's like I'm walking in a cloud. I don't feel my body. I'm walking and walking, but I feel I have no weight. And I said, my darling, you're walking in the envelope of your soul. That's why you walk. The body is not in a normal condition. These people don't understand this yet. When your soul expands and you want to carry on with that process that you can walk, and then you tell us that your body is so light, it's like that, you know, you're in a space, that answers to us that there is an interaction of the envelope, the soul of the person with the earth. The walking they do is like walking on the moon. You carry 1/5 of the weight. You understand? And the soul is doing the job. And when I tell you that the lady walks and she can't stop walking, yes, but we observed we've seen it many times. There is a change in the layer of the light where they walk, when they walk like this. You see that they're walking within a soul, within a field. And when this happens, the soul picks up the brain, picks up the condition that that's how it should be. And then they walk easily when the soul retracts. This is a new tool in the world of science of knowledge. It's amazing. Many times people even go into the system, they come out and say, this part of my body up, I feel I'm in envelope. Yes, because this is the part when there's a dynamic systems of your intestine and everything else. And you don't have that tool. Now the tool is there, you can do. You get one of your patients who you have a problem with in that direction, connect it to us while you're on the line as a doctor. We go through the process and you see how they change. In the Keshe Foundation, we are not looking for physicians. We are looking for psychologists. If you're good in your job, we can bring all the patients to you and you can monitor through it the way we do with other doctors. You understand? And you are given a new tool. You become God, because when somebody comes to you, cannot do something, and then they understand what they've done wrong to themselves by themselves, and they go out with no problem, how many people they bring back to you? You understand? It's a different understanding. Yeah.
Let me see if I can understand what you talk about, the process.
Yeah.
So a person comes and he says that he wants to get relieved of his, let's say, addiction. And in a few questions, we understand together if this will of his is a real one, of his soul.
Doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. You just say no problem. Because you see, they have lied to themselves so much, or the condition of emotion has brought so many lies. They don't differ between the lie and the truth in different part of the emotion.
Exactly. That's
you
what
understand?
I see. That's where I see a gap. Like they don't understand if what they feel about themselves, it's a truth or a lie.
Yeah.
So,
with this system, you don't have that worry, because the soul goes and balances everything. You understand? So there is no lying done to this different part of the emotion to satisfy a different part of it. I take drugs because I have pain and I can't get rid of the pain. I take drugs because my parents hurt me. I can't stand my father this way, so I take. How many excuses we heard people taking drugs?
Many.
Different drugs, yeah. But with this, there is no excuses. You can't lie to lie behind it, to lie. What happened when the father dies? He used to torture me. Now I still have to smoke cocaine. You understand? So it's from outside creating the emotion inside. Now with the new technology, we create an emotion which comes from inside to balance whatever cloud has been in emotion, and then outside physicality see no needs for it. We did this in Belgium. I've said that before. A few years ago, we had a Pakistani guy living somewhere around Birmingham. He had a stroke in the upper spine, just under the main brain. When he was 19 and the father suddenly died of accident, the shock gave him a stroke. And he went paralyzed from neck down. He came to me when he was around about 43, I think. He came with a few people. And I said, who are these? Oh, these are my children and these are my grandchildren. And they came in a minibus from Manchester or from Birmingham. And he was paralyzed. And he took weed and cocaine to suppress the pains of physicality he had with it. I said, with the stroke you had, you can't have it. You're taking these to satisfy the emotion of death of the father you can't accept. He said, maybe, but I take it because it's too. I said, let's do something. We gave him a structure the way as now is, but in a different form. And a couple of days, when they went back, when they had a system to use, he said, I can't touch anything. I can't even touch a cigarette. It tastes of manure. I said, because now your soul has sorted out your problem. Your problem was you couldn't say goodbye to your dad and you loved him so much. And he said, that's the answer. He walked. He flew in next time through Brussels Airport to see us with his children. Where they brought him the first time with a wheelchair in the back. We have videos of him walking it. It's what we accept and what we lie to it, because the actual thing, he didn't want to walk in a stroke because he could not say goodbye to the dad. Without the father, he was nothing at the age of 19. When you do the healing from inside out, nobody can lie to nobody. Where from outside in, they lie to each other a lot.
Yes.
Join us if you want to speak to us, and it'll be beautiful to have you on board as one of the psychologists.
Yeah.
So where do you live?
I'm in Israel.
Oh, shalom.
Shalom. Yeah, I'm very new to your foundation and your work, and it's really fascinating. So I'm starting to get to know and see what resonates with me, and how can I be of use to what you do.
Go to my private email. I'll speak with you.
Okay.
We are doing a lot of work in Israel. We are doing a lot of work to negotiate between Iran and Israel.
Oh,
and
amazing.
we lost our also council member about 2 weeks ago in a car accident in Tel Aviv. He was a key person for our work. Rick, can you send the lady privately my private email? And
she'll have to connect with me or send it to me.
Okay.
Like if I send you on the chat.
Just wait 1 second. Just send it to me directly. You see me on chat fine?
No, I see. Oh, here.
You should do. You're in panelists. You should see me.
She's in as an attendee.
Yeah.
But when we communicate with her, I think it's just the host and panelists that can see the message.
Okay. Can you check your email? I'll send you my private email on your chat on this one. Yeah. Just 1 second. And I'll put you in touch with the other psychologists and doctors who work with us. Just 1 second. Can you tell me you got it?
I'm
On
checking right now.
on the chat, on the Zoom in the private. Don't read it, please. Just check if you can read it.
Just a second. Yes, I got it.
Okay. Contact
Okay,
me
so
through there. We can do a lot. I have a lot of
great.
I have a lot of cousins and relatives in Israel. So we
Amazing.
can do a lot of things here. Thank you very much.
Okay, so be in touch. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other question?
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Keshe. Elizabeth would be next year, I believe. Hello, Elizabeth. Can you open your microphone there? Did you have a question, or maybe your hand is up inadvertently? Okay, well, you'll have to
Do it another time.
she'll have to figure out her unmute if there's a. Oh, she says sorry. It's a wrong hand, so inadvertent. Okay. We have a couple of other questions from in the live stream from Freed, who says he has two questions about addictions. He says, "Dear Mr. Keshe, earlier you said that sex addiction could not be addressed because it is connected to survival of the species. What has changed to also balance this condition now?"
Nothing has changed. We have set our systems and we tested it. It can be done now with the system. But as I said, we fiddle with our things in the system, and this is a psychosomatic addiction. And now the process is there. It can be done. Our technicians have made a beautiful switch in this new system. Any other questions?
Okay, Freed's other question is, what about gambling as one of the worst and most devastating addictions? Thank you, Mr. Keshe, for shedding light on this.
It's one of the easiest addictions to overcome. It's one of the easiest addictions. If you're a gambler, come in on the 15th and see if he brings a small change. Then get in touch with our, what do you call it, the health at the Spaceship Institute.org. With a few sessions, you can walk away with it. Our doctors have all the knowledge to do it.
Well, that'll be on the 19th, correct?
It'll be on the 19th, yeah.
Now,
You have
is there a link for that?
The 19th session is not put up. It will be put up in the next couple of days. But the one for the 16th is put up.
Right.
Whenever you came for whatever you wish, can you do this? Can come in and see if you can do it for yourself.
Okay.
You have,
pardon me?
Other questions?
Yes, we have a couple more questions here. We have questions that came in from Lucy from the Czech Republic, who has heard about Mr. Keshe's magnets for wood and plastic, and she wants more information about that. And she has apparently created her own energy device and has observed electromagnetic fields on the wooden table on which the device is placed. says using an electrician's stylus, I'm assuming a meter, and has a few questions.
We have to see the system.
Mm-hmm.
We've got to have the picture of the system. What is that system? Then we talk about the table. Table on its
sense, yeah.
Table on its own gathers energy, but how do you drain it? But we've got to see the system.
I've seen that around a GANS box, just a simple GANS reactor. The table itself will give off fields so that it's measurable by a meter. Don't normally think of a table as having a charge necessarily, but definitely.
You see, there is a difference. If you get a voltage, and there is a difference if you get a current. That is a power system. And then if you can make it usable in any shape or form. There are very, a lot of people see voltages, but when you ask them to measure the current, there is no current. It means you have the difference of the height. You got a waterfall. You have a waterfall, big height. It used to be. Now it's dried up. There is no water dropping. You understand? And you have to have a waterfall, and you have to have a water running. That you create. That waterfall is the current, and what the water dropping up is the current, and the waterfall is the voltage. The height from this base to that is that if you don't have no water, it's no use to having a fall.
Yeah, it has a great potential, so to speak, but not actualized if there's no water.
No water. And in the world of plasma technology, there's a technique. I'm trying hard to teach our team here in Linz that you can change the height, the potential difference to a current. There is a way. You can't do it in a matter state. In the matter state is impossibility. But in matter state, we see it, but we don't understand it. You call it alkalineness and acidity. If you go to the extreme point of acidity, you become alkaline. In the world of plasma, if you go to a point of extreme, the voltage becomes current. You produce current out of voltage, but you have to understand the knowledge. In a way, you close the loop that there is no height. And whatever is there, it becomes moving, which is the field. And this is something I see a lot of knowledge seekers do this. Oh, I have 20 volts, I get 15 volts. What's the current in it? You have a beautiful waterfall, but nothing falling off it. Only when the water falls, you can put a generator at the bottom to create energy and electricity. Otherwise, your dam is dry.
We get that with so-called static electricity in a way. The potential is there, and it doesn't really do anything unless there's a sudden spark that occurs, which might
takes the energy from the environment. Yeah, it takes the energy that a spark actually comes from the energy around the environment, trying to get in where there is no energy. That's how you get that spark. It's like blowing a balloon if you look at it. You know, you get that spark, static energy. Is you created a vacuum inside, and when you're trying to get the energy outside holding the vacuum, you get that the spark is like a balloon blowing. Any other question?
Anything special about the wooden and plastic magnets, which you've shown before, actually? I think it was in the Kids Knowledge Seekers workshop.
I did that 15 years ago. I wanted to show that you can convert energy. You can move plastic, or you can use plastic to move metals. Yeah, it comes from understanding more or less, or maybe in a simple way of making a stainless steel. When you confuse the atoms, you dictate it. It's just like, you know, when you put a herd of sheep down the line and you confuse them, you can get them to where you want. If you leave them, they run everywhere. This is how stainless steel is made. The stainless steel is the same iron. The way they extrude it and they fold it, they confuse the atoms, and so they are not metal anymore, but they are metal. In a way, they are not magnetic anymore. And it's the same way. We use, if you look at it, I use the magnets in a very specific way. They're extremely strong magnets where I use, and there's a motion to it that it makes the plastic move. You got to look at the plastic construction. And you cannot move all the plastics like this. You use plastics which have the nearest chemical combination to iron, collectively. If you look at like Cohen, you have a carbon of 12, hydrogen of 1, the other one 13, and then you have a 16, or 12 and 16. Oxygen 16 and 12 is 28, 29, and then you have the, what do you call it, the carbon, you're about 42, 43, roughly isotope-wise. So from 42 round to get to 58 or 56, you only need additional carbon, oxygenated or oxygenated, and the other one. This is how magnetic field is created in our body. You have the amino acid, and then you have that element of oxygen, which about 50, 40, 41, depending on isotopes, with the oxygen from the air, becomes near to about 56, interacts with the magnetic field of the Earth, and creates that plasma condition for holding in the soul. The dynamic, that oxygen we take in is not just that oxygen dictates what strength, iron level we create in our body, near to 56, that it can interact with a what we call magnetic field of the Earth, and becomes a generator of energy. That's how we create most of our energy. The flow of our blood, that's why when we get older and the blood flow, oxygen intake changes, it changes our physical characteristics. The oxygen is needed in interaction with the amino acid to create near enough to iron that in the angle of motion with the iron, which is again attached to hemoglobin, creates the dynamism to create energy and field and motion in the blood. And that in turn has the strength to interact with the soul, that the blood outside and the soul inside dictates the what we call tokamak system. We contain the soul with a blood flow in the skull, but we hold the soul attached to the body because most of the magnetic field created by the blood is underneath it in our organs, in our heart. And as we get older, this gap between the soul and the heart, we bend forward, we tend to bend. and that changes, that delivers more energy to the soul, it becomes the point of death. If you can keep upright and keep the distance and take enough oxygen, that's why I say when you do a sports, you need to do a sports, is to keep that oxygen, that conversion creation with amino acid, creates that ion level, that interaction with the circulation and the earth magnetic field, which creates what we call energy, that we call it emotion, everything else which comes from because of the matter. And then body uses that energy again in the brain to create the current in the neural system. In a way, our body, the field flow in the blood by the oxygen, in interaction with itself and the static condition of the cells of the brain, generates the electricity which we call to go to our arms and our neural system works. It's a one self-sustained technology. And it's all of it because of that oxygenation of the air we take in, the energy plasma, which interacts with the GANS plasma of the amino acid, which is part of our cells. And then it leads to what we call creation of the current, which our neural system uses. And then our neural system, with interaction field flow of the blood again, needs and leads to the creation of the calcium, which is needed for every cell to work on, because calcium again has that factor of, if you look at the calcium in the, what do you call it, the periodic table, the potassium, the calcium, and the sodium in that bracket allows you to create that 56 inner connection, which allows solidification. That's why our bones are solid. It's a well set up system. Oxygen, which we breathe, dictates the generation of the magnetic field with what we call it, with the iron and with the amino acid, which the difference between do creates a circulation, the motion of the blood, and not the heart. The heart is collector of the energies, and when it releases it, we see it. But in fact, the whole motion comes from interaction of the hemoglobin, what they call it, the amino acid with the oxygen, and iron content of the blood is a repetitive condition. Iron becomes like when you get a rotor in the body, in a generator, and the hemoglobin, or what we call the amino acid and the oxygen, become that magnetic field with the iron as a plasma. And then this creates energy which crosses the brain and crosses the, what we call neural system, become the energy of the neural system. And then the two interact with the creation of the cells according to the position, the strength, and the dimension of the blood vessels and neural system. That's why we see bigger arteries in the main body trunk, because they create a huge magnetic field. They can create the stronger fields like organs. And then when they diminish, we see the fingers, the blood vessels in the fingers, and the neural system is of the same structure. One leads to creation and this life of the other, and then the interaction between the two of them leads to creation of cells according to the salinity and how much calcium has allowed to be in each cell. The world of creation on this planet is amazing if you understand the process of it. Any other
Question from Farzam in the chat here. Hello, Rick and Mr. Keshe. We know that the energy of the soul is huge. Can a man sacrifice his soul and spirit and never exist in any dimension and give that energy to all earth people to elevate the soul and spirit of humanity like a star explosion?
Presumably you can, but you got to understand is the strength of the soul you trying to donate or sacrifice matches to the rest of the humanity souls and the strength. This is one of the biggest problems. I always say, you go into the stadium, you don't see you see 100,000 people, you have no emotion. You walk outside, you see the same out of the same stadium, walking across the street, and you fall in love because you feel the strength you created in your heart matches his. And that's the two match. That's how we fall in love. And after a few years, we eat different foods, the feel the strength changes and fall out of love. Simple as that. So you have to find if your soul matches with the rest of the energy, even though it's a plasma and it's a collective of all fields. We say you can take a horse to the water, but you can't make it drink. You can give everything, but if there's no receiver, your soul, the field of your soul will travel to another dimension, another position, till it matches somebody who could be in another galaxy. You had a good wish, but it was not consumed on this planet.
Okay, thank you. I have a question from John Wells from Argentina, and he's wondering if they can arrange the payments through Brazil, as they are having many problems with the transfer of money in Argentina.
Yes. We have said that this has already been structured by Rafael from the office in Sao Paulo. Very soon, in the next most probably few months, Keshe Foundation will have a headquarters in Uruguay in conjunction with their organization. And a lot of Argentinians go to Uruguay. One of the centers will move to Uruguay. We linked up with a very beautiful group there. And then, what do you call it? You can have a possibility to work with Uruguay or Brazil either. If you are in Mexico, you cannot go to the Mexico office in Tijuana. Mexico operation of the Keshe Foundation is on the Markray, which is part of the American Stock Exchange. But you can go to Brazil if you want to make anything in southern hemisphere of the United States, what do you call it, US continent, the American continent down there. You can work at the moment with Brazil and very soon with Uruguay. Any other question?
Okay. Question from Paul in our Q&A here in the Zoom. How do you define human thoughts?
It's all interaction of fields. To me, everything is very much understanding of how things interact with each other. That's all. Any other question?
Okay, from Ed, also in the Q&A. So when the soul elevates and the cells open up, does the physical body start to become transparent in that process? And is it the same when you wake up in your sleep, wide awake, flying in a beautiful light, still aware you are in a still aware you are physically asleep on your bed? Does it create the condensation you said, because the friction fields of the soul and spirit similar to the sun and earth?
Yes, you always have it. If you do what they call the aura of the head, is very different than the aura of the body. And usually, if you can detect it, you can observe it, you can set it out. You can clearly explain the psychological pattern of the person. Russians have done a lot of work like this. Russian scientists done a lot of work on this. And when you read some of the papers, but they got lost, they got, what do you call it, detracked or sidetracked instead of going directly into it. In the West, we did not do that much research. In the communist time of the USSR, they did a lot of research on these kind of things, trying to control the man through psychology. And whoever they couldn't control, they put them in psychiatric hospitals. Doesn't matter if you're a professor or a general or whatever. Didn't fit, you became psychotic. Any other question?
Okay, we have a comment from Steph in the Q&A that the nanoplates from the KF store are unbelievable. They're so powerful. I normally feel no energy flow, but with these plates, my whole head is cribble-crabble. Wow, wonderful.
We will use this for the people who bought it, what do you call it, in the very near future. As a lady told me yesterday, I got your cheap plates. I said, what? I said, I was just joking. She says, yeah, at €1,000 a pair, they're very expensive and hard to make. Everything was sold in the first few days. And I don't know if they're taking orders on it. But when it comes to transmutation, these become very, very handy. Any other question?
From Freddie in the Q&A. Hello, Mr. Keshe. Is there a relation between the Baha'i faith and the teachings of the Unicos and plasma fields? Thank you.
Oh, really? The Baha'i faith is very, what I call, has lost its track. The present way they are going. They became more materialistic faster than the Christians and the Jews and the Islamic way of faith. And the hypocrisy have taken their own dimension, and the real teaching of Baha'u'llah, bless his name, is not there. It doesn't come. He tried to understand it, but he never understood it fully.
Okay, thank you. Another question from Freddie, who says there is a gentleman named Marco Rodin who has put out the knowledge of vortex-based mathematics, and he uses very similar methods of relating to the creator. He utilizes specific ratios of mathematics like 3, 6, and 9 to achieve huge amounts of usable energy through copper coils shaped like toruses. Though this is still matter state, the fields that are produced when running a load through these toroidal-shaped coils put out a huge field when Hertz frequencies are pulsed through it. Are these fields that can be utilized for healing and energy use, similar to plasma fields, even though he is utilizing no nano-coding in his processes?
I don't know what you're talking. I have no knowledge, so I cannot make a comment.
Okay. Yeah, that was popular a few years ago, Marco Rodin, and he had these special coils that he creates and so on. That's he is also into the Baha'i, and that was part of his the whole thing that he was putting forward about this technology. We haven't heard too much about it in the last few years. Okay, let's move on. Paul asks, what happens if I fall asleep during the booked session on December 16th?
Have a good nap. You physically fall asleep, but the soul is active. Many people in the flight system fall asleep, but they tell you, I fall asleep, but if you dig into it, they've been somewhere, they've done something. The sleep is a job of physicality, soul and the sleeps. If the soul sleeps, you're dead. Put it this way, the engine doesn't work, you don't expect the car to run you. Any other question?
We have a hand up with Salamia here. Go ahead, Salamia.
Thank you, Rick. Hello, Mr. Keshe. Hello, everybody. Today is a National Day of Romania. We celebrate. My village is in the 1st December. I mean, my locality. I am living in the heart and in the soul of Romania. And today, my question to you is related to the soul of plants, and if our technology could help the vertical farming.
What?
Vertical farming.
Yeah.
Making farming on the vertical, not on the horizontal, and created seeds. How do you call in English? I don't know, maybe growing seeds, and utilizing this when the weather is not so friendly. And
I don't understand what you're asking. I don't understand what you're asking.
Yeah, if we can utilize plasma for vertical farming, I mean, vertical farming.
It's been done. It's been done by many people.
I don't know. That's why I am asking you, because
the Italians brought the system out years ago when we went to south of Italy, 7-8 years ago. Doesn't make any difference how you do it. Yes, it's been done, and a lot of people use it.
Last time you said that utilizing plasma, we can reverse the wheat and create the original non-modified genical.
Well, there is a special way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a process. You have to understand the process. Yes.
Could you teach us?
No.
No. Because I am buying this and I'd like to do myself.
But you want to eat grass now? You don't want meat anymore. No.
No, I don't eat meat. I am vegetarian, and I am
wheat. He said wheat, not meat.
Because it's a complete. I want to make a juice, green juice from this plant, and usually I don't eat bread because of. But I eat seeds of wheat when they start to germinate. When I was student, I was very poor, and I eat only this and with honey, and I give also to many friends, because I use these grains and I put to germinate in water and just eat it with honey, and I never was sick, never.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Salmia.
And thank you, and I love you. I love you, all of you. Much love from my soul, and I wish you health and take care. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
One more question, Mr. Keshe. I think you're
Yes,
probably
yes.
wanting to wrap up here.
Yes.
From I Am in the YouTube, who asks, Mr. Keshe, how do you connect with the universal community? Do you use a technology?
For me, don't. I know how to do. For you, I don't know how you do it. It is one of the simplest things to do. You have to be aware of time and space. But you got to understand there is no time and there is no space. Then you dictate. A river doesn't exist till the drops of water collected make that river. And then that river has energy, and it's got a time and a place and a space. And is that how you bring the drops together to create that time and the space? And that's the ethos of the life in the universe. The star doesn't exist till you bring enough elements of the fields and energy that the interaction leads to creation of a star, and then the life exists. It's the same with the life in the womb of the birth. You got to learn how to bring the fields together in a given configuration, and then at that moment you create a space and time for it. Otherwise, till that time there is zero time and zero space. Then it can be anywhere in the universe. This is part of what we do in enhancement units, which are set for the space travel. Then that's why we always use 2 units, not 1. When you have 2 units, in transition between the one to the other, you create a space, and that time of going, you create the time, and then you can position one of these to be on the moon. And then that's where you literally divert. In transition from one system to another, you divert to the 3rd position. That's how you're brought back. But that 3rd position is connected to your dimension of your soul and your wishes and the understanding of the soul of the moon. It's a very, very simple thing, but then you create that moon, you create that dimension. Some of you who went through the system and you explained you could touch, we had a guy who was touching the sand, picking up the stones on the moon. In fact, it was the soul, but trying to create the dimension of physicality. The soul dimension was, we gave him even the thing to put it in. We told him to put it on the side of the system. If we create the soul of the moon in our system, you will get the stones. You need to create 2 things. One is the inertia, which what we call the spirit, and then you need the gravity, which is the interaction of the fields, or what is actually the soul of a planet. We understand this knowledge fully. That's why we manipulate. If on the like a Thursday teaching, I block part of the system, none of you can imagine physical. You all be dangling in emotional feelings. Any other question?
I think you've pretty much covered it here, actually, Mr. Keshe.
Thank you very much. Thank you for today. Please join us in what do you call the 16th. If you are other conditions you want to join on the 19th, and we have made accommodation for a lot of things. We extended if it needs be, but this is what you have asked us to do. This is what do you call it? We are, in a way, technologically, we are responding to what is now possible to do. And I said, come with a wish list and see how fast you can cover it. If you can't do it, don't go too fast, do it the next time. But once you get the taste of it, you see it can be done, you see you are there, then come back to us. In a way, we're putting a taster out for you to be able to complete the other part of it. And if you need our help, we'll complete it ourselves. You still can get in touch with the health at Keshe Foundation, spaceshipinstitute.org for large number of questions or requests you send us for our doctors for the, the processing. And they will respond to you. Thank you very much. And see you next week.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Keshe. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for attending today's 461st Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, December 1st, 2022. Our next public teaching workshop will be the One Nation, One Planet, One Race for World Peace and Justice, coming up on Tuesday, December 6th of next week. And that starts at 4 p.m. Central European Time. And we look forward to that with members of the Universal Council. And I think that's all of our announcements for right now. So thanks again, everyone. And we'll see you in the next public teaching workshop, if not before then. Okay, we'll go out now with the Flight Enhancement Spaceship Unit music version. And may you all have a good day or night, whichever you happen to find yourself at. And bye for now.